Alright, I want to take a second here and just kind of talk through some of the things that I have been experimenting with and just kind of explain some pitfalls I run into, some changes I've made along the way, and the pursuit of raised bed gardening, kind of automatic irrigation, or at least closer to automatic. What I found as I was kind of going through different methods was that I had a couple different layouts that seemed to work well, and this particular layout was designed for squash and zucchini plants that needed to have their roots watered. And what I found was that if I created holes with 1/16 inch drill bits, I could more easily create a soaker system that would work well in kind of a variety of different settings. And the thing that I couldn't do with soaker hoses, which is why I turned to PVC, is I couldn't necessarily get an exact section to be watered. And so as we see here, we have sections of PVC that haven't been drilled into and other sections that have been drilled into. And so I'll just kind of show you a variety of different angles here so you can pause and rewind as needed. We see that these poor souls haven't survived. I'm still trying to figure out exactly why that is. I'm kind of clueless when it comes to soil and what to do there, and I guess I've been focusing perhaps too much on the irrigation side of things, but I am a tinkerer, so I'm guilty of that. So overall structure, we have source line coming in, and that tees off 3/4 inch to 3/4 inch tee up to a shutoff valve that will allow me to, as I go all the way on, it gives me more pressure, and I can have variable pressure just simply by turning this at different angles. This comes up to a 90 degree, comes over to another 90 degree, comes over to a reducing tee, so it goes from 3/4 inch down to 1 inch. And by having the source line as a 3/4 inch line all the way across, and then capping that off with a cap at the end, I can get more pressure to kind of equally transfer into the 1/2 inch pipes that go all the way down the 10-foot raised bed. And this is a 10x4 raised bed. So I don't glue any of the pieces together. That way I can take what I've done and I can rotate around. If I wanted these to go straight up in the air, I could rotate this down as well. And then at the end of the season, I can break it down and I can store it pretty easily. So that's another feature I'd like to comment on, is no glue. And you see with no glue, there's no leaking anywhere. So there's not a problem with that. So you're pretty flexible long term. So once I'm done with one bed, I'll actually go ahead and turn this one on first. So I'll turn on the second bed and then probably get you to a point where I'm about to get sick with all the crazy camera angles. And for lettuce, for example, what I found was I can alternate the holes. So you see along the top of the PVC pipe here, there's not a hole along the top, but instead I go and alternate perhaps maybe 20 degrees or so to the right, then to the left, the right to the left, right of center, left of center, right of center, left of center. And I stagger them so that the pressure has more push, essentially. So same thing, same general structure here. As we look at this from the back side, the structure is the exact same. We have the source pipe of 3/4 inch that goes between all the beds, and then it comes up to your 90 degree angle. This time it shoots all the way down the bed, and so I have a 3/4 inch source pipe that goes all the way down, again with reducing tees from 3/4 inch down to 1/2 inch. So the tee joint is what allows it to reduce at the same time. And what I found was I could do a couple different things. What I'm doing one row per pipe, or two rows per pipe at this point. And we can kind of see that on some of the ones down here, where I have the pipe kind of in the middle of 2 rows and it's spraying to the left and to the right. And I could basically save money on PVC and drill smaller holes, which allows the water to go further. These spray a little bit further out because I drilled smaller holes. The ones down at the end, I had a bigger bit, and when it broke, I had to go buy another one, which happened several times, which eventually I found that the 1/16 inch was the best route to go, which I'll show you here on this last bed, which is all 1/16 inch holes, and it really sprays a far distance. So we can see with this one, this is the last bed that I did. I kind of had perfected things the most, and it's just going like crazy to where it sprays literally like overlapping. So we're doing onions in this one, and it's just real happy. So I'll show you now. If I turn this down, I have variable speed where I can, or variable pressure, where I can take this all the way down, or I can crank it all the way back up again. So that's something great to have, because you might isolate, you know, a couple different spaces, or, you know, perhaps get the water to fall exactly where you want it if you have that variable pressure. So that's a $2.15 or so, a great investment to be able to have that variable pressure, and of course to be able to shut the beds off. Down here at the tomatoes, I'm doing things a little bit differently. I custom drilled this PVC to where it's literally soaking the bottom of the tomatoes a lot better. A lot more water is going to go to those. So that's a nice little thing we've done. The last thing to think about is, which I don't have implemented yet, is this specific design accounts for the ability to do 4 seasons gardening, to where each of the water pipes sit on the inside of the raised bed, so that the plastic is going to be able to literally hinge to this raised bed, and hopefully, I mean, we'll see how things work. If the water would work in the winter, which obviously for obvious reasons that may not work, but if so, the design is in place to where the pipe will not interfere with the different PVC and different plastic that goes over the top. So all in all, I think this shows the kind of the best practices of all the failed attempts. So what you're seeing here is about 3 or 4 weeks of failed attempts and different variations, and this is the best that's come out of all of those different experiments. And so really the only place you need glue out of all of this is back here at the beginning. If you don't have glue on this section, there's so much pressure that this will push off. So everything else is not glued. So again, it's flexible. Each time you move your beds around, you have the capability of mixing and matching different pieces together, and you don't have to rebuy or repurchase the PVC after each season. And this could easily extend as many beds as we wanted to go based on this design. It's scalable as well. All right, and that's it.